Venezuelan government deployed the public land to guarantee the safety of citizens and secure the progress of the upcoming regional and legislative elections of May 25th. Voting is underway in the constituency of St. James North in Barbados in a by-election following the resignation of incumbent Labour Party Member of Parliament Edmund Hinkson. Panamanian Union leader Saul Mendez has requested political asylum in the Bolivian Embassy, denouncing political persecution and harassment from the Bolivian government. Hello and welcome from the South. I'm Alejandra Garcia from TeleSUR studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. The Chinese government has rejected the sanctions imposed by the European Union and the United Kingdom on Russia, which affect companies in China and the United Arab Emirates. The spokeswoman for the Chinese Foreign Ministry Mao expressed Beijing's opposition to any unilateral measures imposed outside the limits of international law or the authorization of the United Nations. Despite the Ukrainian conflict, she pointed out that several countries, including the United States and European Union, nations continue to maintain trade relations with Moscow. The official, therefore, considered it unjustified to interfere in legitimate commercial activities between Beijing and Moscow, warning that the necessary measures would be taken to protect the Asian giant's sovereign and economic rights. In Barcelona, Spain, hundreds demonstrated on Wednesday in solidarity with the Palestinian people and to demand an end to the Israeli genocide. The main mobilization took place in the Rabal neighborhood to mark a year of the encampment in solidarity with Palestine, where several university students and faculty denounced the complicity of the government and education institutions in the ongoing genocide committed by Israel on the Gaza Strip. Like this, students from the Autonomous University of Barcelona called on a new encampment to protest against Tel Aviv's actions, with activities including marches and public meetings. In addition, students are calling out the government of Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez for failing on its promise to halt arms trade with the Zionist regime. Likewise, protesters gathered on Wednesday in front of the Italian Parliament in Rome in solidarity with Palestine and to demand an end to Israel's attacks on Gaza. Waving Palestinian flags and holding banners to call for a ceasefire, protesters accused Israel of genocide, condemning the destruction of hospitals and the Zionist regime's use of hunger as a weapon of war. Demonstrators denounced Tel Aviv's actions as an ongoing crime against humanity. The mobilizations happened as Israel's strikes continued to haunt the Gaza Strip after the intensification of the offensive despite a surge in international anger.
A crime against humanity is being committed, a true genocide. That is why I think it is right to cry out our pain, so that this barbaric war ceases.
When people go hungry, when they are besieged, they are not provided with medical care and hospitals are destroyed. There were 36 hospitals in Gaza, and now there are only 4 left after they were all destroyed, and they have a limited capacity to help, as they have no medicine and no bandages. They have nothing left. Our colleagues amputate without anesthesia. All this gives us great pain.
The Sudanese army reported that after strategic operations, it maintains control of most of the African nation's territory. Army authorities said it took full control of Greater Khartoum region that includes the capital after a long-running battle against the Parliamentary Rapid Support Forces. After recent operations, the Sudanese army has also succeeded in driving the RSF out of 4 other states. Sudan plunged into civil war on April 15, 2023, when tensions between the military and the RSF exploded into open war. The war has killed at least 24,000 people and displaced millions, though the death toll is likely far higher. The government of Pakistan announced the expansion of the China-Pakistan economic corridor to Afghanistan. The decision was made following a meeting of the parties in Beijing, where they reaffirmed that trilateral cooperation is a vital platform to promote regional security and economic connectivity. At the meeting, the three foreign ministers discussed the improvement of diplomatic interactions, as well as the strengthening and implementation of practical measures to boost trade. The agreement also states that the sixth trilateral foreign ministers meeting will be held in Afghanistan. Hundreds of people have been rescued in Australia's New South Wales state on Wednesday, but thousands remain stranded after widespread flooding. Police helicopters winched stranded residents from rooftops and emergency service personnel used boats to rescue others, including pets, from the flooded area in and around the state's mid-north coast town of Taree. Thousands of residents have been cut off by floodwaters, while others have lost power and businesses have been inundated. The Manning River in Taree surpassed the 1929 record flood level, peaking at 6.4 meters. And now we have a short break coming up. Professor Mary can join us on TikTok at the facility, which we're famous in different formats, news updates, and more. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back from the South. On Wednesday, the Venezuelan armed forces deployed the Republic land to guarantee the safety of citizens and to secure the progress of the upcoming regional and legislative elections of May 25th. In the face of destabilization attempts by the far-right opposition unveiled by the government in the past week, the Republic operation aims at securing the democratic exercise with the deployment of 412,000 troops nationwide. In addition, a total of 1,419 senior and regional prosecutors will guarantee the progress of this strategic election across the 15,748 election centers. The Operation Quick Start, headed by the sectoral Vice President of Political Sovereignty, Security and Peace, Vladimir Padrino, seeks to ensure the safety of over 21.5 million Venezuelans called to vote at 27,736 polling stations across the country on May 25th.
From the National Electoral Council. This is a symbolic act, and it also marks a milestone in the electoral calendar, which we have been working hard on since the call for this electoral process. Let us remember that there are two elections in the same electoral process, where 569 positions will be elected throughout the national territory to elect 285 deputies to the National Assembly for the new constitutional period 2026-2031. We will also be electing 260 deputies to the legislative councils and 24 governors.
Quintero also pointed out that this will be the first election of a governor for the state of Guyana Esquiva.
It marks and reinforces even more the sovereignty, because we are electing the first governor of the state of Guyana Esquiva. On the 26th, in the morning, we will have a governor in the state of Guyana Esquiva, 8 deputies to the National Assembly, and 7 deputies to the legislative councils. and it is the popular mandate expressed by the people of Venezuela in the consultative referendum of December 3, 2023. We are then closing a cycle of sovereignty and raising the expression of the institutionality of the vote.
Venezuela's Minister of Defense, Vladimir Padrino Lopez, highlighted the deployment and logistical work carried out by the Bolivarian Armed Forces together with the National Electoral Council ahead of the elections of May 25th.
Since the Logistic Committee was installed, Carlos Quintero from the National Electoral Council has been accompanied by the National Bolivarian Armed Forces, and this has been so for some months now. We cannot see it only in what will happen in the next 5 days. It has been a big planning and deployment process, a great logistic process, a great operation where I have seen a nationwide empathy between the armed forces and the National Electoral Council as never before. We have been perfecting the coordination levels. We have been perfecting the actions in the territory, the deployment, everything that has been planned in the electoral schedule, the simulation drill.
The closing of the campaigns of the governors and parliamentarians of the Great Patriotic Poll moves forward in Venezuela in view of the May 25th elections. On Wednesday, the campaign began in the state of Barinas, where the candidate for the governorship, Adán Chávez, was supported by the population ahead of Sunday's elections. Meanwhile, the candidate for the governorship of the state of Bolívar, Julisbeth Garcia, also carried out her campaign closing, while in El Vigía state of Mérida, the closing event of the campaign of the candidate Arnaldo Sánchez is taking place. It is expected that in the next days the closing of the campaign of the Venezuelan parliamentary and regional candidates will continue. As part of the Back to the Homeland plan, Venezuela received a new flight carrying a total of 90 nationals who were sent from Texas in the United States. In the early hours of Wednesday morning, a plane carrying 77 men, 6 women and 7 children landed at Simón Bolívar International Airport in Maiquetía. This was part of the safe return of Venezuelans to their homeland. The state authorities ensured that health and legal security protocols were in place for those deported by Donald Trump's government. A total of 4,192 Venezuelan nationals have returned to the country through the humanitarian plan so far in 2025. In Bolivia, social movements close to former President Evo Morales announced mobilizations for May 22nd. Through a press conference, they called on their bases to organize themselves for the mobilization, emphasizing that they would defend the democracy of the Bolivian people and the national economy. Likewise, the support of the peasant sector comes in response to Morales' call for a great national union to support his presidential aspirations. However, the sentence of May 14th of the National Constitutional Tribunal informed that the former President Evo Morales could not be a candidate for the elections of next August 17th. Hours before, the former President stated that only the people can ask him to desist from his aspiration and that they are awaiting the pronouncement of the Supreme Electoral Court.
We have a project that we have designed for the short and long terms, therefore we are going to maximize little by little. We are going to add many brothers until democracy and participation are respected within the electoral court.
We have a second survey coming up, but before we invite you to visit our Facebook page at TeleSUR English. There you'll be able to watch our top stories, special live coverage and much more. Follow our page and activate the notification button to stay up to date on the world's most recent events. On a short break, we'll be right back. Welcome back from the South. Voting is underway in the constituency of St. James North in Barbados in a by-election following the resignation of incumbent Labour Party Member of Parliament Edmund Hickson. Precisely Hickson, who had represented the constituency in the House of Assembly since 2013 general election, resigned from the elected position on April 25th. That same day, Prime Minister Mia Mottley announced the date of the polls, with President Sandra Mason issuing a day later a writ for the election to take place. Nominees were registered on May 6th, with the 4 elected candidates being Chad Blackman from the Barbados Labour Party, Felicia Dujon from the Democratic Labour Party, Alex Mitchell from the Bolivian Free Party, and Stephanie Williams from the Community Empowerment Party. In this context, thousands of constituents head to the polls, which will be open from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., in which constitutes the first by-election held in Barbados after it became a republic. Panamanian union leader Saul Mendez has requested political asylum in the Bolivian Embassy, denouncing political persecution and harassment from the Bolivian government. After almost 30 days of indefinite strike in defense of the country's sovereignty and against the government's reforms to the social security system, the Secretary General of the Construction Workers Union, Sontrax, is currently at the Bolivian Embassy after denouncing threats and persecution at hands of unidentified agents. Panama's Executive and Prosecutor's Office have carried out a series of anti-union measures, raiding headquarters, freezing union assets, increasing repressions, and detaining workers. In this context, Sontrax has denounced this is a campaign that seeks to silence the workers' movement. The union's indefinite strike in Panama against the Social Security Fund law intensifying in different areas of the country amid complaints of raids on union headquarters and increased repression against demonstrators. In a context of repression and arrests, the single union of construction workers, Sontrax, held a general assembly to establish new actions regarding the striking force. The nursing sector joined the protest that urged the government of José Raúl Mulino to repeal the law, which it claims will privatize the health services. Sontrax representatives denounced that its headquarters in the town of David was raided amid a series of political and legal persecution against the demonstrations. In Argentina, the government of Javier Milei carried out a new day of police repression against retirees who were protesting in front of the Congress of the Republic. Retirees and social organizations continue to take to the streets, demanding the government to urgently increase their salaries, given the economic crisis that the country is going through. In this sense, the demonstrators denounced a disproportionate operation of the security forces with pepper gas that generated tensions and multiple injuries. The protest took place hours after the Chamber of Deputies suspended for lack of votes the debate on an emergency pension increase amid the pressure from the government, which is promoting an express laundering of capital in dollars while cutting social rights. During the demonstration, 2 reporters were detained and assaulted by Argentine security forces. The 9th Russia and Nicaragua International Pharmaceutical Congress takes place in Managua with the participation of delegations from China, India, and Cuba. Under the slogan Strengthening National Biotechnological Capacity, Connecting Strategies and Technologies, the Congress addresses public health issues, vaccine production, and the strengthening of national biotechnological capacity. More than 300 specialists in pharmacology and at least 30 speakers attended the event to discuss the development, technology, transfer, manufacture, and distribution of pharmaceutical products in the Latin American region. In this context, one of the main objectives will be to explore strategies to expand the manufacture of drugs and vaccines, not only to meet domestic demand, but also to open up export opportunities. The 10th International Colloquium on Cultural Diversity in the Caribbean is being held in Havana, Cuba from May 19th to the 23rd. The event is hosted by the Casa de las Americas institution and is focused on the significance of archives for the Caribbean intellectuals and cultural projects. It also seeks to strengthen the relations between the body and emotional memories and the archival repertoire of the Caribbean. On the other hand, participants analyze aspects related to the preservation of archives at risk and the strategies to be followed in the face of the environmental crisis. The meeting is attended by renowned specialists such as Haitian researcher Franz Voltaire, the Mexican scholar from the University of Guadalajara, Andrea Trujillo, and other experts from Sweden, Norway, Brazil, Puerto Rico, and Cuba. In the context of the colloquium, the director of the Center for Caribbean Studies of Casa de las Americas, Camila Valdez-Leon, highlighted the relevance of this type of meeting and the importance for all the Caribbean countries to be united and see themselves as a shared community.
When we first conceived the project for this conference, that it reaches its 10th edition this time, we decided to look at the past, even though what we are concerned about is the present and the future. By looking at the traces of the past and how they have been interpreted, how they have been read, how they have been fixed through archives, through the archives, is what will allow us to have a better understanding of the challenges we face in the present. I think it's important that we imagine ourselves as a shared space, as a shared community. I mean that we conceive ourselves as a connected region. Is particularly relevant from the moment we are living.
And like this, we have come to the end of this brief, but you can find these and many of the stories on our website at telesurenglish.net and join us on social media. We are on Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok as well. For TeleSUR English, I'm Alejandra Garcia. Thank you for watching.